Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. Barbados' government faces mounting pressure to revisit its position on mandatory vaccination. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 28th September 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Since daily COVID-19 cases and deaths continue to rise, the Barbados Private Sector Association (BPSA) has called on the government there to revisit its position on mandatory vaccination. Karim Smith of Barbados Today reports.
We could have a very devastating impact on Barbados for a long time if we don't heed the warnings and people don't go and get vaccinated. Christmas will be certainly under severe pressure. We back to school has been certainly hit very badly, as you know. But we are hopeful that at some time children will be able to get back into school and that there is just a timing issue. But Christmas is not a timing issue. Tourists will go elsewhere if they're not coming to Barbados. And Barbados will take much longer to recover, as I said previously. It is not just Christmas, but this is a severe national issue that we have to look at and consider what is the long-term impact on our country and on our people. What's the future of employment? What's the future of the health system? Where do we go as a people, as a country?
Clark acknowledged the organization's collective support of government's voluntary vaccine policy, but added that businesses remain free to make their own decisions, particularly in certain critical areas.
I have agreed with the Prime Minister as the head of the private sector, and she is the head of the social partnership, that we would not mandate enforcement or encourage our people to enforce. But there is going to come a time when this country has to make a decision, and I will leave it at that at this stage. Because if we don't achieve the targets that we have to achieve as a country, and so what's the next step? What is the next step? Are we going to continue and wait forever until people get vaccinated? We don't have that luxury of time. We simply don't have the luxury of time. Individual business people are therefore going to make their own decisions if it prolongs too long.
Meanwhile, the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners is calling for the implementation of a mandatory vaccine policy for healthcare workers as the rise in COVID-19 cases takes its toll on frontline human resources. Our Karim Smith tells us more.
In a wide-ranging assessment of the current moment, BAMP President Dr. Linda Williams reiterated calls for patience with the vaccine hesitant, but revealed that such leniency could no longer be extended to public health workers. Of the current restrictions that include a 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew, Dr. Williams contended that the changes to these measures should be contingent on more than meager increases in the country's vaccination numbers. She also called for a strategic plan to address the rampant community transmission that educates citizens about the importance of regular testing for residents in COVID hotspots, government institutions, and on the front lines. The medical body then took aim at the issue of misinformation that seeks to, quote, denigrate the tireless and unstinting efforts of the healthcare workers of Barbados and condemned recent acts of slander against them. Karim Smith for Barbados Today.
Over in Trinidad and Tobago, the government says face-to-face classes will resume on Monday, 4th October for forms 4 to 6 for only vaccinated students, while virtual classes will continue for all other classes and unvaccinated students. Urvashitawari Rupnarayan of TV6 News reports.
The country is nowhere near target as it relates to overall vaccination, but also as it relates to the vaccination of the eligible student population. Still, with 39,000 out of an estimated eligible 60,000 vaccinated, government is moving full steam ahead with its plan to reopen physical school.
Those 39,000 students, as they become fully vaccinated, which is 2 weeks after their second shot, school will open for all practitioners and participants at the schoolhouse. School will open on October 4th for Forms 4, 5 and 6 to be fully attended.
As promised, there's still a place for the unvaxxed.
For those students who are not fully vaccinated, they will not be allowed to participate on the school compound, but we'll make alternative arrangements for them to participate in schooling in the virtual way. These are decisions not by anybody bullying anybody, but by free choice.
A key question in the minds of parents who will be subjecting their children to the first ever reopening on this scale is whether their children will be interfacing with vaccinated teachers only.
I don't have a figure. I don't even think the minister has a figure because we have not counted heads. But what we do know is that very many teachers are vaccinated and quite a few are not. And we don't want to get into a situation where we spend the valuable teaching time to these students fighting over vaccine enforcement for teachers.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Still on Trinidad, Gary Griffith says he continues to be the legitimate head of the police service and will be back on the job soon. This after the man now holding the reins, Acting Commissioner Mr. MacDonald George, declined to give approval for a news conference at which the TTPS said he and Griffith would have been in attendance. TV6's Jewel Brown reports.
Is Guy Griffith Trinidad and Tobago's Acting Police Commissioner or not? When TV6 News posed this question to Mr. Griffith during a telephone interview on Saturday, he said he received the correspondence from the Police Service Commission on August 15th, 2 days before his 3-year term as Police Commissioner ended on August 17th.
As of 17th of August until the substantive appointment is made, when the PSC will then submit the merit list to the President and then forward it to Parliament for approval of whoever may be the substantive Commissioner of Police. I am officially the Acting Commissioner of Police. If I go on leave, somebody must sit in the chair.
A reference to Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob.
We certainly would not think that when Stephen Williams was the Acting Commissioner of Police, when he left the country to go on leave, people will refer to him or consider him the DCP. No, he was still the Acting Commissioner of Police appointed, who is on leave, and then Mr. Harold Phillips Odulalchan will act in his absence. Nothing has changed.
On Friday, Acting Police Commissioner Jacob told TV6 News via telephone that he had not sanctioned a press release by the Police Services Corporate Communications Unit that a news conference to be attended by who the unit identified as Mr. Griffith and Mr. Jacob was carded for Saturday at the Police Services Administration building in Port of Spain.
The Police Service Commission sent correspondence to both Mr. Jacob and myself stating that authorization and approval has been given for us to have a media conference. I believe that media conference would have put a lot of matters of confusion that would be in the minds of many persons to rest.
On Saturday, Acting Police Commissioner Jacob cancelled the news conference.
And based on advice I have from many persons, they have advised me that I have full authorization to have a media conference. They use the example that if, so for example, a Prime Minister is on vacation and he decides to, in the middle of his vacation, have a media conference, no one can stop the Prime Minister from having that because he's the substantive Prime Minister. So if someone is the appointed commissioner of police, even if he's on leave, he can have a conference. There's nothing stopping that. But that is not the way that I am trained. I respect the person who sits in the chair. I respect the individual, acting commissioner of police, Jacob.
Mr. Griffith had initiated legal action against the Police Service Commission, which challenged its suspension of him as acting police commissioner in a letter dated September 17th. The commission hired retired Justice Stanley John to investigate allegations of corruption in the issuance of firearms users' licenses and the handling of reports of an incident at sea involving the head of the Police Service's legal unit.
Thankfully, the chairman of the PSC, good sense has prevailed, and she has submitted correspondence to me to rescind that suspension because it was totally out of order. It was not. I was not going to accept it. And this, basically, what she said was to try to accuse me of either interfering or being part of the investigation. That's the only reason you could suspend someone if an investigation is taking place. Neither was the case.
So, given that Mr. Griffith has declared he continues to be the acting police commissioner but remains on leave, when will he return to work?
I will be on leave just for another few weeks until Justice John submits his report. So to the 89% of the country who would like to see me return as Commissioner of Police or who do not have an issue, as I stated, very soon I'll be back.
Jules Brown, TV6 News.
Meantime, Trinidad and Tobago's President Paula May Weeks has pointed out to the opposition UNC that there is a notification before the Parliament with respect to Mr. Vincel Edwards as the nominee for member of the Police Service Commission. Her rebuttal comes in response to a release from the UNC on Saturday, stating that there was no such notification before the Parliament.
Opposition leader Kamla Prasad Basesa stated on Saturday that, quote, "It is alarming that today's media release from the President's House states that there is a notification which is with Parliament at this time. This is categorically not true. There is no notification with Parliament. In any event, the law provides that before any notification is sent to Parliament, Her Excellency is obliged under law to first consult with the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. To date, no such consultation has taken place with me as Leader of the Opposition. Her Excellency appears to be once again falling into legal error," end quote. But the Office of the President on Sunday afternoon said it stands by and reiterates its position that a notification is with Parliament at this time. The President's office issued a statement saying that the President issued a notification dated June 10th, 2020, in respect of Mr. Vincel Edwards as a nominee for member of the Police Service Commission in compliance with Section 122(4). It pointed out that the notification was sent to Parliament by the Secretary to the President on the same day, June 10th, 2020, for debate by the House of Representatives. Moreover, the President's office added that the notification was sent to Parliament only after consultation by letter of June 5th, 2020, with the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition as stipulated by the Constitution. The Office of the President further stated, quote, "It is our understanding that the Leader of Government Business, having given a directive during the last sitting of Parliament that the notification be placed on the order paper for the next sitting, the notification is currently with the Clerk of the House for placing on the order paper," end quote. Jules Brown, TV6 News.
Over in St. Lucia, the former president of the National Consumers Association, Hubert James, is happy that the Consumer Protection Act has been passed in the upper house. The bill went through all its stages in the House last week. Don Nicholas of DBS World has that story.
Former president of the National Consumers Association, Hubert James, says the road to consumer protection has been long and rough. He recalled that prior to the June 2016 general elections, then Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony had indicated his interest in seeing the Consumer Protection Act to fruition. As it turned out, the SLP lost the elections and the UWP came into office. But according to Mr. James, the new administration failed to follow up on the recommendations made by Dr. Anthony with regards to enacting the legislation and making the necessary amendments along the way.
It was an agony of 5 years. And every World Consumer Rights Day, you're going to get it for World Consumer Rights Day. And it passed, go and passed, never happened. We keep on putting pressure. And every time we reach the point for us to get it through, an organization will write and say, "Oh, well, we never knew this thing was taking place." And we see that we need to have discussion.
He paid tribute to Commerce and Consumer Affairs Minister Emma Hippolyte for seeing the new legislation to fruition. The bill empowers the Consumers Association and the Consumer Affairs arm of the Ministry of Commerce to act decisively in defense of consumers whenever their rights are violated by unscrupulous entrepreneurs. Signs in some business places which read "no exchange" or "no refund," says Mr. James, will be a thing of the past.
Right now, the consumers can stand tall, and no private sector, neither financial institution, the service institution cannot tell them, you cannot do this and cannot do that. Now the Act has given us the power, the Act has made a lot of provisions, to be have tribunals, to have commissions, so therefore we have room for redress.
Mr. James appreciates the wide range of facilities where legal redress can be sought by consumers. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now makes it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.